Okay, I wanted to show this in natural light, like sunlight. This was finished on the last video, and I wasn't able to really put the results in there because it was pretty swollen, and the stencil, I really couldn't get the, stencil out from underneath right away. But this is healed about a week out. Right here is still, there's still a gap. It's a little questionable. And then my hand turned out really good. Like, by really good, I mean, I am so impressed that half of that even stayed in my skin with the angle and just the pressure I was even able to use for it. But you can see that, there are some touch-ups. I can't point. I'm holding the other end. I have the phone in my hand, but, there's definitely some touch-ups, but I am not mad about it. And I think that the heart looks much better than it did. There's a tiny, tiny gap. Not terrible though. So those are the results. Okay, I'm about to make a stencil. I really wanted to do like a Halloween theme this week. Just do like a little micro pumpkin. I don't know. I'm not 100% still doing this somewhere on me as well because I have my leg numbing. Here's my leg. This has been on there. I want to do like this little section right here. And I originally had a different piece I wanted to do, but I reached out to the artist through an email to make sure that I could use the image. I just wanted to do things the right way. So regardless of that, I had numbed this area right here, which is a pretty decent size area. And now looking at this little pumpkin, I'm like, oh, that's so tiny, for the space I've numbed. So I have these pieces that have been drawn, and I know this style isn't for everybody, and that's not the point. I love this like etched, just almost, I don't know, I guess like childlike drawing style. I wouldn't say childlike. I don't know what this is, but this works for me and everything else I have going on. I want to do this dragon. And I think maybe we'll just have him, I don't know. I really like this almost, what is this? Like a centipede face, Venus flytrap. It's just like a combination, which I have both centipedes and Venus flytraps on me. So maybe I should just do this little guy. I don't know. Regardless, we're going to print both these out and play around with it. And maybe just randomly, like even not holiday themed, I'm going to put this little pumpkin back on me. But we'll figure that out later. We're going to get some, I am just sitting on my floor. It's super unprofessional. It's just myself, and for this section, it's just honestly the most comfortable. I don't want to be seated in a chair and be all hunched over. Oh, let me plug this cord in. I don't have anything plugged in. There we go. All right, so let's print out both of these. I'll cut them out and we'll just see which one we want to do. If you're curious what I'm doing and haven't seen my stencil tutorial, you will be highly impressed by it. So I suggest, I'll tag it in this video at the bottom and you can go and watch it if you're curious. It's a real treat. For whoever has watched it, just thank you. Okay, here we go. We're gonna just go. I didn't even look at my settings, that's fine. I'm pretty sure they were correct. Print these guys off. Yeah, that looks good. Go. Put this in my alrighty, let me grab these. Also, working on the floor right here is let me see if I can turn this and show you. So like right here is all of my tattoo stuff. So everything's within reach. There's my machine right below it. I know it just looks like what you would not see in a tattoo shop, but it's what works for me right now. And we'll unplug this. Move this out of the way. Use some, hands are clean, but I'm still gonna use hand sanitizer. I'll pull these stencils. I want to do a piece this week also that's more on the, I guess, smaller scale of things. One of these videos I'm going to do like a micro tattoo and just make it, you know, a littler piece. But every time I numb my skin, I'm just like, it's already numb. I want to, this is actually cling wrap. It's going to come off a little easier. Every time I numb my skin though, I'm just like, I want to fill that space. I don't want to just put a tiny... And also, I'm big on like, okay, I get the machine out, I'm already using it, so why would I do a tiny tattoo? This has been on forever. I put this on at 8 a.m. and it is now 1 p.m. So look at my leg is, I'm kind of bumping this, but it's definitely an awkward angle for me to tattoo at, but I can do that. It's very numb. Let's take off all the extra here. Yeah, most of the time I can feel like the paper towel going over it. It's crazy. Okay. I'm gonna also just clean this area pretty good. Okay, move these. This is going to be a heck of a challenge. But let's see, I'm going to move like that. Should be able to tattoo. And I might not be sitting in this position. I'm just messing around with the angle. Let me put some of these on. Well, I don't know how many I'm going to drop on the floor, but I would prefer not to use one I dropped on the floor. So let me get now another glove. Okay. Now we're going to mess with the stencils. I would assume the dragon just because of the shape. Let's just start with him. Clearly I can always go back in. I'll now have a stencil of this guy. But let's see. I almost feel like it should be flipped like that, huh? So, yeah, he definitely needs to be like, I don't know what exactly he's doing, flying, jumping, perhaps, but this is not as flattering that way as it is that way. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take these off because I'm actually going to redo everything I just did. This is what, when you do things like just sporadically like this and random ideas, it's not always so prepared, you know? So we're actually going to redo this as a I guess it would be let me cut these apart now that I have the other one. But we're gonna do the unmirrored version. We're going to take off the mirror and we're going to copy it. And if my brain is working correctly, which sometimes I don't feel like it's, like today, I don't know, I just feel like random. And so I think this should, hope I chopped off his head somehow. Oh, because see, Okay, here's a great example, which you guys, I was out of frame. What's new? But, so look, I just chopped his head off. Okay, his head's gone. But you know why? Because I didn't feed it through, right? So it's sitting here, just not, it was kind of bunched up here. That was what I said in that tutorial, is it's so important to just kind of, I don't know if it's because it's an inexpensive machine or if like all machines do that, but, or it could be because I'm sitting on a carpet, I don't know, but it come out and just sat there and rolled like this, so it wasn't able to feed the rest of the image. So that was my fault. We're gonna redo this stencil, not mirrored again. What I was saying about my brain is like, when I get ideas like this, sometimes I'm trying to like get it all together, and in my brain it's going straight, but then it comes out on paper and such just not right. So that's what I meant by like, if my brain is right, it will mirror this how I actually wanted it, and I'm not messing that image up in my head. Let's do it like this. Well, I don't want it to get stuck. Let's actually do it like that. Okay, we turned off the mirroring. Now we're going to feed it through both, make sure this guy comes out straight. He was trying to the first time. Okay, there we go. He's fully intact this time. And then I'm just going to set that aside this time, make sure that we're right. I can just draw that on with this one. Yeah, okay, so basically what I did is started it too high, and I'll have to cut the stencil, you know, to lay it like correctly. But let's just find out. Did I even just do this right? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so we want him to be, yeah, like that. And so see, the original one, we couldn't have him like that because he wasn't in the, he wasn't in the right, you know, he wasn't mirrored. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna re-clean this area. And then oops, paper towels are over here. We're gonna re-clean this area. Okay. I'm just gonna throw one glove on right now. And then I'm gonna readjust this camera so I just don't go out of frame. Okay. That is so incredibly numb. Okay. So We're gonna set that guy on there. I am gonna fix his face. I will just lay this part first. Oops. Because see, I cut his little face off at the top. We'll just line that up. In fact, I'll just cut off. See, this is what I mean when I say my brain doesn't work. Because you can't just cut that off and stick it on there because it's not mirrored. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to throw that on there. You most certainly can't. That was the whole problem. Okay, so we're going to draw the rest of his face on there. That is exactly the example I was trying to give where I'm just like, that did not line up in my brain. Like, not even a little bit. I was just going to toss that back on there. All right. Then we're going to let that dry. And we're going to, you know, draw on his little face. So I'll come back after that point and we'll draw the rest of his face on. Okay, we let this guy dry. We're gonna draw out the front of his face. It's a little more pointed than that. Then we're gonna draw out his jaw. Okay. And then we're just going to add his little teeth in there. And we're going to finish his fin. Okay. I would prefer this to not be touching this, but I'm also not going to move this whole stencil over. So I may just leave off this little guy, you know, this little finger when I actually tattoo him. And then I'm also going to maybe sharpen this a little more up here when I do actually tattoo, because he's a little sharper. Well, that's a little better. But there we are. This is gonna be our newest guy in this little mess. And speaking of what I said earlier, like not wanting to sit in a chair and be uncomfortable, this position is not much better. So don't be fooled. I'm about to set my machine up, which I'll show you guys that while he dries even more. We'll clean up my just chaotic mess over here. And then let me get myself situated. We're gonna put these stencils up for some other time. We're gonna put our stencil machine away. And this. Alrighty, so here's my actual machine. This is how it came. I guess I can finally show you guys this. I've I also had a comment last time, a bunch of comments, guys, by the way, and comments seem to be coming in more, and I am not joking when I say every time I see a comment, it is so exciting. I'm just so excited that you're here. Everyone is like watching these videos. We're giving advice and tips. That's what I'm getting, is a lot of advice, a lot of tips, and what was the other word I'm looking for? A lot of suggestions, because my last video I did not list the needles. I didn't list like the brand of ink I use, and once again, it's the same thing with the comments prior. I don't even realize that I'm not doing those things. So suggesting them in the manner that everyone has been suggesting things is good. I need those types of suggestions, and they're appreciated. So if there's something I didn't mention, if there's something you would like to see, then just please comment it, and I will make sure I try to include it, because we're all learning. Maybe we're all here learning, and that's what that will do, is we'll all be able to teach each other, or get the advice we need, and so on. Okay, so for the comment on the last video, they asked what voltage I use, and let me put it better in view here. But my answer to that was, I am absolutely clueless. I don't know, because, so let me show you my old machine. Not my old, it's just what I used prior. It's not old. Here was my other machine. It's hooked up. So it had voltage, right? And I could pick like the number of voltage. So obviously they're very similar. This still has the, 18 voltage. Okay, this is where I'm just going to start talking like, I don't know. So this one I used had like a numeric value, which I could reference and be like, oh, I'm using 7 voltage. And that is where I basically stayed around, is 7. Here on this dial, I used it here at the last time I tattooed, and I don't believe I've had to turn it up much higher. And from what I've understood in like reading about it or watching other YouTube videos, it is a preference. So it's based off the artist. This, I could be completely talking out of thin air right now, but that is my understanding. And so I use what feels comfortable to me, which may not feel comfortable to someone else. It might be too much for the style, for pretty much that, the style or the artist, from my understanding. Okay, I'm gonna ramble on about that forever, and I just don't have enough knowledge, because terminology and such, I am minimal on it, because I haven't like textbook studied. I've literally just winged this whole process. I bought a machine, I started messing around with it, and now I'm just comfortable using it in a sense, except I don't have enough knowledge to like go, oh yeah, this is what you're supposed to do. I'm just not there yet. And that's just how it's been for me. That's just my experience. So here's where my gun plugs in. This is another funny thing. I know this came with instructions, right? Some people are probably just dying on the inside listening to this, and I'm so sorry. I know people are technical, and I know people need like a source, a reason, or like a fact. I run on the other end of things where I just don't know it at all. And I will mess up and mess up and mess up and experience it until I get it right. And that's just how I work. I wish I was more technical and knew, you know, like the professional way to do it or say it, but I just don't. So here is the foot pedal. Oh, I know where I was going with the whole professional thing. So this is the foot pedal. And you know why I know that? Because it looks like a foot pedal. That is my understanding. So when I got the machine, it did come with instructions that I probably vaguely read, and then I just, you know, figured it out. Oh, you know what? That's a good reference. There are people who read instructions, and there are people who do not ever open them. And I fall in the don't open them. And that's not always the best way to be, but that's okay. That's not what I'm telling you to do. You do what works for you. So anyway, let me close this up and get it out of the way. Foot pedal, tattoo, you know, machine, and you plug those in. Now, they also won't work if they're not plugged in correctly. So that's another dead giveaway. If you plug them in backwards, they don't work. Here is my actual pen. And in the past, this was what I started using and had used when I learned. And they are two separate worlds. 100% completely separate worlds. I could not tell you which one I like better. I really, really enjoy learning on this one also, which maybe I'll do like a tattoo using my coil machine. But this is a convenience thing for me. So every time I set up, you get your pen out, you wrap it, you pop the needle in. There's no adjusting. Well, there is a little bit, you know, with the depth here. But it's more convenient for me to use this. But I also don't think there's anything wrong with the coil machine. I just honestly purchased this to also get the experience of what is this like? Why do we have these now? And so speaking of wrapping, let's get some different, I'm going to get some gloves on now. Also, I sanitize this every time. I wipe it down every single time I use it. I wipe this down every time. My foot pedal. I wipe everything down before I store it, based off even if I tattooed myself, another person. Everything is getting cleaned every single time. And I've went over that too, is I just get so creeped out being in charge of like the safety of this, because as fun as it is to do, you can also like seriously, like this isn't something just to do without, you know, consideration for the cleanliness of it. You can seriously harm somebody tattooing them. Infection wise, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. So I take that part very seriously. I wrap my machine here. Oh, and I've mentioned this in the past too. If I do something unsanitary that somebody would notice, I would love for you to point it out, because I first off probably have no clue, and second off, I would like to never do that again. And so maybe like you're a professional and you see it and you're like, oh no, that is going to harm somebody. Just say so, because that's not my intention. I just don't have, you know, all of the knowledge. Here is the grip tape. And I just chose purple randomly. I just wrapped this. I wrapped it a little thicker last video, and I did not care for that. I like it kind of like that. I wonder, I should actually look into that. Why are they wrapped thicker? I think I mentioned that in another video too, is that some people wrap them super thick, but it actually hurt my hands a little bit. I could tell that like my hands were like spread out further almost, and it was almost cramping my hand up. I didn't care for that very much. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. And I don't need this pen. Now, what's crazy when you tattoo yourself is I might actually have to sit up. I might have to prop my leg up and be able to do the foot pedal over here, because I can't. Let me look at this. I'm going to set myself up in a way where I come back like we're ready to tattoo. Oh, needle wise, I'm going to use, let me see. I'll do a 7 round liner this time. I've been using a lot of 3s and a lot of 5s. Let's try a 7. And go with that. We're going to do a 7, and also the ink I use, let me grab that as well, is, it looks like I kind of need more black actually, but I use this Mom's Millennium, and it's in black onyx. I was gifted this by my mother-in-law. She bought this for Christmas for me. It came with like, I want to say like 16 colors or something, though I haven't had a lot of experience with the colors. Here and there I have, but just messing around. So I always use this, and this is my second bottle of this, so I have repurchased it. I like it. I've never found an issue with it. Maybe someone else has another suggestion that's cheaper for more, that works just as well. I really don't know. I've stayed with this from the beginning. My machine came with ink, and it was not good. It wasn't my favorite, so that's why, you know, I looked into other inks, because I wouldn't say it was terrible. You can clearly use it, but I don't know if I would use it on myself. I used it to mess around with on the fake skin. And so these are what I'm using. And I think that was it. I think I covered maybe most of the questions from last time. So like I said, I'm going to set myself up a little better. I don't think I am actually going to, after all that talking about this, I'm not going to be able to sit on the floor, because I need to be able to, so see, I'm pushing the pedal right now, but like that's not going to work. So I'll be back set up.